everybody. Welcome to the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in the state of Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Facebook, we are on Roku, we are on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. We have a very lovely evening planned for y'all. It's going to be exciting. And we just want to thank our sponsors quickly. Thank you, Carnation. You make our lives much better on our network. And we accept the challenge of living up to what you do because you do really good things. And we love you. All right, Preston, I'm going to hand it over. Everybody knows who's on. I don't even have to announce that. You go.
Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on episode 108 of The Light Gate. Thank you all for joining us each Monday evening. We are so grateful and honored that you take time out of your busy schedules to listen to us and our wonderful guests. We consider you family. We love you very much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I, of course, am your host, Preston Dennett, author of several UFO books, and have had a few UFO experiences myself and paranormal, as has my lovely co-host, Dolly Safran, subject of the book Symmetry, a true UFO adventure. Let's not forget that true part. Yeah, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, she's had an enormous amount of UFO experiences, pretty much all her life. We're working on a sequel because her experiences are that extensive. So super excited to get that book out. I do want to let you know that I have kind of good news as well. My book, Humanoids and High Strangeness, has finally come out on Audible. Bit by bit, I'm getting my books out on Audible. I have some publishers who are just dragging their feet. Some won't do it. I'm trying, but I have gotten the rights back for a couple of my books, so I'll be reissuing those. So I'm excited about it. Always working on something. So let's say a quick hello to all you folks before we bring in our lovely guests. It's because of you guys we do this show, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's see, who do we have here? First, remove this banner because it's distracting. Okay, looks like we got a nice little crowd here already. We have Red Letters 3. I would like to speak with you, Preston. Yeah. You can absolutely reach out to me. I'll be flashing my email on the banner at some point, but it's easy to remember, prestonufo@gmail.com. You can also reach me through Facebook, but probably my email is the most effective way. Please be patient. I get an enormous amount. I'm talking 100 per day. So yeah, I'll do my best. We have Scuba Maru. We have Laura Seawick, all the way from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, nice.
And we have Robin. Thank you for joining us, Robin. And Teresa Levine. There's all kinds of people here. Kaleidoscope Eyes. I've been listening to several of Preston's videos yesterday and today. Nice. From Knoxville, Tennessee. Very cool. I hope no one got hit with tornadoes. Yes, me too. The weather these days. Yes, blessings to all you guys. Oh, Olivia. Blessings, love, and light, and all, with heart emojis and happy faces. Thank you, Olivia. Thanks for joining us. We got Peak. Happy Light Gate Monday from Vegas. We love you, Peak. You're always so bright and happy and optimistic. I love that. I'm the same way. Okay. Who else do we have here? We have Arvo. We have Greg, all the way from Bonnie, Scotland. Wait till you see our guest in, well, not next week, but the week after that.
Right.
Malcolm Robinson. Amazing. You may have heard of him. He is from Scotland. We have Janie Mashburn. We have Greg. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, wow, Greg.
My goodness.
Such an honor. We're going to keep you up to 3, so hope you don't have to work tomorrow. Okay. Patsy Foister. Hi, Michael. Hi, we have quite a crowd here. Namaste. We love you, Namaste. We are truly honored by your endless, infinite generosity. We truly are. We love you very much. Thank you. Okay, Jay Kirshenman from Virginia.
Hi, nice. Yep.
It's awesome. We have Jim. We have, okay, let me get this right. No Baloney Tony.
No baloney Johnny. I like that. That's a good one.
Last stream was so good. Sad I missed it. Oh yeah, was Polly Rotterman last week?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. What a
Well, there's always a
lovely lady.
replay. You can replay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the more fun shows we've had. But they're all fun. I don't want to leave any guest out because we really are blessed with wonderful guests. Hey Bob, hope you're doing well. Saw you in, what was it? Spaced Out Radio After Hours with Rob McKee. That was fun. Thanks for joining us then. And tonight, Coley. We love you, Coley. Hope you're doing beautifully.
We love you.
I'm almost done, Dolly. We have videos from the underground. I'm here. Yay.
Yes.
We have Neil Robotham, all the way from England. Another guy staying up late.
Hello.
Stockport, Manchester. I so want to get to England one of these days, Dolly. If there's a way. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it. Yeah.
It's a good channel. Would you please talk about CE5 experiences? Well, I'll put a little star there. So here's the first question. So
to Michael, we might. I'm telling you, a lot's going to happen in this show. We'll try. If not, we'll do it in the next show. How's that? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's a good channel. Says you responded to my email. I try. I really do try. Some I put a little star next to, and the next thing you know, they're buried under 300 because some I want to take time to actually respond. We have Wendy Parks from UK London.
Hello.
We have Sonny Burnett.
Hi, Sonny.
We have Matt Stiles and Neil Robotham. We'll get your book from Audible ASAP. Awesome.
Nice.
A lot of people like the Audible books, so I've got some more coming out real soon. We got Poetic Poems. Oh, Poetic Poems, you're lovely. Love you very much. We have Yvonne Duquette. Wonderful to join. And Mish Marie, thank you for your work. Hello from Western Australia. Here we are, reaching all over the world.
Right. Yep. G'day.
Leah Hacked.
Cool.
Very cool. Star Orchid. Hello to all you beautiful people. Love to our hosts and guests. Right back at you, Star Orchid 8. Much love to you. All right. Well, we better get started because, yes, our guests have so much information. It's not even funny. And of course, you probably know who our guests are, but let me just pop up the little ticker here and let you know that our guests tonight are James Goodall and Michael Schratt. Don't want to say too much about them because they've been on our show. Well, Michael's been on, it's got to be 5 or 6 or 7 times at this point.
I don't know, 4 or 5. Yeah.
I think it's more than that, Dolly. Okay. But at any rate, if you haven't heard of Michael Schratt, I don't know where you've been. He's really an expert in UFO crash retrievals, black budget, advanced aircraft. James C. Goodall is amazing, published author with 27 books in print, and really knows all there is to know about the Blackbird and all advanced aircraft, secret aircraft. So between the two of them, Michael Schratt and James Goodall, nothing gets by them. They are the go-to guys for this subject. And we're going to try to continue this PowerPoint that we've been going on for, I think we've done it twice now.
Right. It's so much information. That's right. And we want to get to all of it because you all deserve to see all of it.
Yeah. And as luck would have it, James Goodall is running a little late, but he should be here. But meanwhile, we do have Michael Schratt. So I'll just pop him right on.
Welcome, now. Michael.
Michael. Oh, you're muted.
We didn't know. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
That's Michael.
Good.
Yeah. So we're hoping James can join us very soon. Meanwhile, why don't you just let us know what's going on with you? You're on a whole new research project. That's pretty exciting. For people who haven't heard of you, maybe give a little bit of background. I think most of the people here are return guests, but there's always at least 1 or 2 new people. or maybe who knows? Our last show, Michael, reached a new audience of 500,000.
Yep.
So we're growing fast.
Right.
Oh, you're muted again.
Lord, hold on. Okay.
There. Oh,
Try again. There you go.
Okay, 500,000. That's incredible.
yeah, not
It
bad,
is.
huh? So yeah, it's mostly the radio audience. So big hello to you guys.
Yeah.
New Orleans, listening on 107.7 and 105.3.
Right.
We are going to be displaying.
We hear people
pictures.
from all over the world hear us. In that 500,000, it's global.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
We do have a PowerPoint, which does have a lot of images. We'll do our best to describe them for you guys who don't have the visuals. But yeah, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Michael, your computer.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm going to plug in this Yeti mic here,
okay.
and hopefully I can still hear you.
Can you hear us?
Well, we can hear you just fine.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Can't
sounds
hear
great.
me though, huh?
I
No,
can
we hear you.
No. You
Yes,
can hear
we
me,
hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
but I can't hear you.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Just go ahead and we'll live with the buzzing if we
I
have
don't
to.
know why. I
Go.
don't know why.
Go.
Don't know why.
Dolly knows sign language.
Go. Go.
So when I plug in this mic, I lose your audio.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh, that is loud.
Yeah.
Is
It's
it possible
coming
to
from
just
the motor. Wait, it's coming from the motor on your
It's
computer?
coming from the fan in the laptop. Yeah.
Okay. Is the fan underneath it?
It's on the bottom, but there's no way to silence it. It won't shut off.
Oh, I know that, but you can put a
well, it's not right bad right now.
towel under it, and that'll buffer it.
Yeah, I think that's possible. But usually, when I plug this thing in, it should work, but I lose your audio when I do that.
Naturally.
I'll try it one more time, but
Can you hear us?
Okay. So I'm sure the sound is gone now,
Yes.
but then I
Yeah.
can't hear you guys. So
Well, we can't have you
Go.
pulling in and out.
Yeah.
That would be too logistically difficult. So we'll just have to live with it. I'm sorry, folks, if the audio is a little buzzing, but we're doing what we can. And, always some technical issues here and there.
Yeah, life happens. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, he's going to put on that headset. There you go. He's got another alternative. Can you hear us now?
Okay, you're muted. You're muted.
Wait, I'm going to fix it. He can't hear. Michael, can you hear us now?
now
Okay, perfect.
I can hear you.
Okay,
All right.
we hear you as well. Okay,
Good.
perfect.
Good.
Nice.
I don't want to have any noise, let's keep it nice and clear.
Exactamo. Okay.
All
I'm
right.
ready when you are.
Well, then, all right. So we left off with you and James, and he had just completed, and you had just completed. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was.
I know exactly where we were. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you bring us to that point, and then let's move forward with it.
Okay, we're right here at the Temple, Oklahoma sighting.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to pull this up on your screen. I got it here on mine. So
All right. I will
And
add
I'm
it to
pulling
the
it up.
page. I will
You
do
adding
it.
There you go.
okay.
All right.
So we've kind of covered this one a little bit before here, and you don't really need to see me, but the slides are what's important here. So going over this case.
Yeah. And
Personally-
remember to describe it a little bit for our
Yeah.
radio listeners.
Yeah, personally, this is my favorite Project Blueook case. Now, this is not my case. This is United States Air Force Project Blueook case. The date here is March 23rd, 1966, Temple, Oklahoma. The primary eyewitness is a man by the name of Eddie Lexon. Now, he was a electronics instructor at Shepherd Air Force Base, and it's about 5:05 in the morning. He's driving down the road. Sun is just coming up over the horizon, and his headlights meet something very bizarre parked perpendicular on the concrete road here. So he kind of slams on the brakes, and he gets out of the car, and he's looking at something that looks all the world like a overturned bowling pin at 90 degrees, or it could be described as a fish or a perch. Now, I'm going to start at the right side of this. This thing was 75 feet long, about 8 feet tall. The extreme right side of the craft looked like it had a bubble transparent canopy that was ripped off from a B-26 bomber from World War II. The whole thing was sitting up on pogo landing gear, about 3 feet from the concrete pavement. There were 2 beaming spotlights going straight down. Also 2 beaming spotlights heading forward. On the right side of this craft, there was an air stair door with a man standing next to it. Now, this was not an alien. This was not an extraterrestrial. This was a man. He was wearing 2-piece green military fatigues with a baseball cap with the bill turned up. He was shining a spotlight or flashlight at the bottom of this. Now, directly above and to the aft part of this craft, there was a stinger or spire that swept back and terminated into an 8-inch diameter sphere. To the aft of the right or starboard air stair door, there was a 3.5 foot diameter porthole window divided into 4 pie segments. And then just aft of that were the letters written in black vertically, TL4768, written on the side of the craft. On the back of the craft, there were these small flight controls that appeared to be way too small to be aerodynamically efficient. Now,
so do we know that these numbers are correct, or we think they are?
Yeah, we believe they are correct because we have his original sketch and his report that goes with this. And he specifically describes seeing TL4768 written on the side of it. Now, I don't know what that insignia means, and I've got a $100 prize for anyone with documented evidence that can prove to me what this is. Now, what I believe it is, and I could be wrong, I believe that it is a serial number from Los Alamos connected to the Atomic Energy Commission. That's what I believe it is. So when Eddie Lexon was looking at this guy, finally, this military man in the green fatigues. Now, I don't think he was the pilot. I think he was a crew member, a mechanic. The pilot was still up front in the craft itself. So I only think that he was like the mechanic. When he found out he was being watched by Eddie Lexon, he scurried up this air stair door.
I bet he did.
He shut the door, and then it says there was a high-pitched drilling noise. Now, Preston, you probably more than anyone have heard of this before. This high-pitched whine, this high-pitched drilling noise that we hear so many times before these craft take off. So this thing hovers off the ground for about 50 feet, sits there for 30 seconds, and then literally departs like a spark on a grinding wheel and makes no sonic boom. This was in 1966. We had this technology. That's 3 years before Apollo 11, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed at Tranquility Base on the moon. So my question is, who's building this? Where are they getting the money? Where are they getting the funding for all this? And why are we still using liquid rockets, solid rocket boosters? And why did we risk and essentially kill the Challenger astronauts on January 28th, 1986? That's my question.
Yeah, well, I think the answer is why.
I have a question too. I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Because there's something that I do know, and I'm going to point you in a direction. I can't give you information at all. Okay, but I can point you. In the 50s, the French were doing anti-grav technology research. Mm-hmm. There was 2 corporations up there who were privately doing this for the governments.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There are plenty of French companies who work in engineering, aviation engineering up there as well. And they're global now. They're worldwide.
Right.
I know that the government, they compartmentalize everything. And when you've got geniuses and they're not here, they're somewhere else, they'll go to them and they'll put them in
Sure.
and start working from there, and they suck them into the system. And that's the way it's always worked with the military. Hi, James.
Hey, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm late.
Perfect timing, Jim. Perfect timing.
I would point you toward the French.
Yeah.
And who in France might have done this, that part of that technology, because they were very instrumental in anti-grav technology for us.
Well, I think it's clear now that the United States government defense contractors, they weren't the only show in town. There were other people working on programs too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we know why they didn't use this to go to the moon, because that would reveal their hand.
Yeah, yes, there was no way they were going to show that off.
I mean, I think that's just a simple logic.
But if the technology is there and it's available, and even the deep dark recesses of our Department of Defense or the other spook organizations, it does not make logical sense, because we're not the only one who has been retrieving alien spacecraft over the decades. I'm sure the Russians have been doing it, the Chinese have been doing it. I'm sure there's the Aussies have. I'm sure South America has multiple ones. So we're not showing the bad guys or adversaries a new weapon system, and it's something that probably every government, legitimate government, has access to or have seen it.
It wouldn't surprise me if they're working together to some degree, at least.
That's true too.
Yeah. I mean, they go out of their way to do things against the American taxpaying public.
Mm-hmm.
So it irks me. All they can do is rabble on.
We're not the only country with this issue, with our money going to places we don't know where it's going. Everybody gets taxed.
But here's another question I have. What is it doing landing in the middle of the road where people can see it?
Very good question. I think they had some type of mechanical difficulty.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was done as an emergency landing. They had to check things out. Once they found out they were being watched, they skedaddled out of there. That's what it appears to me. Yep.
So they do have technology to move at light. I don't know how fast that would be, but lightning speed, so to speak.
Well, it's certainly supersonic without a sonic boom. Absolutely.
And
this is back in '66.
And if you see movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort.
That's right. That's right.
And the sound barrier was a barrier that no one could break. Mm-hmm. And of course, Chuck Yeager did in 1947, broke it in the X-1.
Well, it sure is interesting to have the numbers right there on the side. That is just a real puzzle there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to move to the next slide here, and we can kind of go over what he actually drew up. So this is his original sketch. So you can see his dimensions here: 75 feet long, 8 feet tall. He's got the white light shown. He's got the X marks the spot where the man was. He's got the air stair door. And now you can see here TL4768 written on the side of the craft, standing 3 feet off the ground. This is his original sketch. But if you look at this drawing, and Jim, you can appreciate this, you can see that the dimensions, when they correspond to what the actual craft looks like, he's grossly out of scale.
Yeah.
This is 8 feet tall and that's 75 feet long. The whole craft needs to be stretched way out.
Yeah, that's an 8x10 piece of paper, right?
Yeah, this is 8x10. I see what the guy did. I mean, he did a good job.
Yeah.
He did what he could with what he had.
Good,
so
yeah.
I spent a day going over this drawing and looking at the dimensions, and then came up with this, and this is the correct configuration here. Now, one other thing I want to add that I didn't talk about this before. Eddie Lexon said that he was so close to this man that was standing by the air stair door. He said later this afternoon, is if he saw him in town, he'd recognize him. That's how close this guy was. And then he said that there was like ranking insignia chevrons on his shoulder, like a naval personnel. So
there'd be an E9 or an E8.
Yeah, Jim, who's running this? Is it a Navy program? What are your thoughts?
Oh, all the real spooky programs in the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seem to remember there being another witness seeing.
There was
watching
one
this.
more witness, because when this thing flew away, Eddie Lexon got back into his car. He drove a half a mile down the road, and then off to the right, there was a man in a pickup truck with the door open, and he was standing on the running boards, and he talked to Eddie Lexon, and he told Eddie Lexon that this thing had been following him for quite some time. So there were 2 eyewitnesses. Yep.
Following him. So
Yeah,
I guess they don't really care if they're being seen or not, to a certain extent at least. Wow. If they had just dressed up in little silver jumpsuits and put on a little, mask with big eyes, fool anybody.
I wouldn't put it beyond them, But
I mean, as evil as the federal government is, and I know there are governments that are more evil, but I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put them past them at all. They've sort of made lying something to be proud of. Let's don't tell our American taxpayers what we're spending these billions on.
There are a lot of people out there that are figuring this out. I have a question for both of you. Okay.
See if I have an answer.
I hope you do. Okay. So I've been on bases my whole life. Okay. And I have in Panama City, Florida, Tyndall, years and years and years ago used to have Harriers coming in and out all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I've watched them evolve over my lifetime.
Okay.
And that high-pitched whining noise that you're talking about is very familiar to me.
What's a turbine? It's a turbine. Is it a turbine sound?
Turbine, yes, but it's external. You can see it. They drop and raise them up. They flap them back. They can do all kinds of things. They can even rotate them now. But this I've also heard. I haven't seen what you're talking about, but I've heard and seen things that have that noise. And I swear to you, it sounds like it's internal. And it drove me crazy trying to figure out, why would there be turbines rotating wildly? And why did Harrier get developed past the point of no return? Because it was already old technology by the time I was coming up. Okay. But they kept developing it. And it seemed to me that they needed something that would spin properly, evenly, without causing catastrophe. And if you were going to put it inside a vehicle and run magnetics in there with it, that's a big deal. But it would still make that noise, only now it's internally. And that's the distinction I started making. I'm like, well, one sounds like it's on the outside and one sounds like it's on the inside. And I knew it wasn't a Harrier. There's no wind with this, but something in that is spinning.
Well, for certain, we're not talking about turbine jet engines on this craft.
No,
we're talking about high voltage electrical fields in conjunction with a Wimshurst generator. And then what you see coming off the top of this thing, this spire or stinger that has a ball at the end of it, it's a static electrical discharge sphere. That's what this thing is.
Okay, now I want to bring something up because I've said this to you before. And I'm going to point it out to you right now. I work, when I fly with ET, I have an electromagnetic ball that is above my head. And it gets bigger, like a dodecahedron. It gets bigger. It starts small and it energizes, and it gets bigger. And we can't fly without that thing going. We cannot. Okay? And when you started describing this, my brain went, that's back engineering for me. That makes me think that they've had something that...
Well,
and I've said this many times about how we fly. Okay.
Sure. So, yeah. This is certainly on another level than just your standard aircraft here. We'll continue on here a little bit here. Okay. So here is the original map drawn by Eddie Lexon. So you can see Highway 65, Temple, Oklahoma to the north. You've got H-70. And then if you head westbound, there's a little sign here and a jog in the road, and then you can see it says object. That's where he put on the brakes. And so it's almost perpendicular to the road. This is his original map on where he saw this. So I went on Google Maps, and I think I can take us plus or minus 20 feet to where this thing actually landed. It's accurate enough to do that. I really think so. So this is the area right here.
Oh, yeah.
Half-mile west from intersection of Highway 65 and 70. And this is all here today. I mean, this road is still there today. This is what it looks like heading westbound. So it was right here where this thing landed, like literally right here, right here. So if we could go back in time to 1966, we would be seeing this thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, US 70 is when I hit standing water coming back in Sturgis, and I left my motorcycle at 70 miles an hour.
Ooh.
And do we know if there's anything near there where this might have come from or be going to?
Well, Shepherd Air Force Base is close by, so it might have been a test flight.
Tinker's not too far. What's the one in Oklahoma? Starts with an A.
Don't know.
I would recognize it if I saw it, but there's a number of military installations. Plus not only Air Force, but there's also Army aviation facilities around. You have various National Guard units and reserve units that fly aircraft that are a base, and there's no reason why they would not use a military base, regardless of whether it's an active duty, guard, or reserve, to operate out of. I mean, in fact, the most
Navy that's been working on all this stuff. Is it generally the Navy that has all these?
The Navy is responsible. It used to be the Army, but about 1970, 71 is when the Navy took over all of the really spooky programs. There was a transition. Area 51 was almost going into caretaker status when they decided to move the Red Hats in there, and because the YouTube operation was gone. The Blackbird, the A-12s were gone, and it was just sort of sitting there, really not being utilized until they started bringing more people, other programs. But the Navy took it over after that. But in recent times, or modern times, however you want to look at it, it's part of Edwards Air Force Base. It's Detachment 3, or it was. And I know guys. I mean, I've seen guys in sweatshirts and T-shirts out playing ball with Air Force Flight Test Center Det 3 on their.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of those. Yeah.
That's good.
As it is, I do have a United Nuclear shirt that I got directly from Bob. So
okay.
I feel good about that.
So what it looks like is that the United States Navy is working in conjunction with Lawrence Livermore Labs and Sandia, because they're going to be responsible for the propulsion system, those labs.
Yeah, I would agree with Michael 100%.
Okay, let's continue on here. Now, this is the original Project Blue Book's card. This is the index card. I won't read all of this, but just the first two sentences here. Observer spotted object parked on highway in front of his car. Observer stopped car and got out to investigate. But as he got close to the object, a man apparently entered the object, and immediately the object began to rise from the ground. The object had the appearance of a conventional C-124 without wings or motors. So this is the Air Force report. This is what they're saying.
So Project Blue Book, these guys must not be in the loop. You know what I mean?
No. They try to explain it away as something conventional, or they couldn't explain it at all. So they're not clued in on what Los Alamos is doing or Sandia. That's clearly the case here. They don't have a need to know.
Well, I guess neither do we, but we know now.
I'm pretty sure that the Sandia facilities, all the engineers out there are part of that Black Ops group.
I believe it. I concur with you, Dolly. I concur with you.
Right.
Lawton Morning Press, March 24th, 1966. Temple man meets UFO on highway. Here's another one. Wichita Falls Times, March 23rd, 1966. Strange flying object sighted. They go into detail on exactly what he saw here. Here's the couple of bullet items. Eddie Lexon was a pilot since 1941, 8,000 hours of flight time, and taught a course in aircraft recognition. Object rose from the ground with the sound of a high-speed electric drill, hissing geese, or of a welding torch. Similar type descriptions that we've heard, Preston. We're hearing the same thing. The craft caused the hair on his arms and head to stand up. So now we're talking about a localized static electrical field that was permeating the area here. The man standing next to the craft was wearing GI fatigues and had chevrons on his uniform. Lexon stated that he would recognize the man if he saw him in Oklahoma City tomorrow. So this is the perfect guy to be seeing this.
Yeah.
These are the kind of whistleblowers I would love to hear from. You know,
Yes.
somebody, what it must have been like to fly one of these things.
I mean, Eddie Lexon was he was a flight
Yeah.
instructor, 8,000 hours of flight time, perfect witness. He could not have mistaken this for a helicopter or something like that. I believe the guy knew exactly what he was looking at. This is nothing conventional, no helicopter. This is something different altogether here. Houston Post, April 10th, 1966. Lexon, who is familiar with aircraft, said he had no thoughts about the craft being from outer space or even from another country. It's an American piece of machinery, he said. It's nothing foreign. So even he thinks, it's one of ours. It's one of ours. So we have the technology. We have made the breakthrough. This concurs and tracks with everything which Jim had talked about previously with his witnesses. We're talking about making George Lucas envious. It's completely tracking.
Yeah.
I would have ran up to that thing, get myself shot, but
Yeah.
I would have loved to see the inside of it.
Oh, sure. No doubt. No doubt about it.
Well, I've been, like I told you before, I've been out at the black mailbox in Tippecanoe Valley. I said, read my mind, and I'm concentrating as hard as I can. Abduct me. Abduct me, damn it. And they won't do it. I just walked in the door, and I need a glass of water, so I'll be gone in
No
about
problem.
30
No problem.
seconds.
So this
there he is, the actual witness himself. Wow.
Daily, Oklahoma, March 1st, 1971. Yeah, what you're looking on the upper right is the photograph of Eddie Lexon. So he is the primary eyewitness. Here you've got a good detailed drawing of what the craft looks like. Now, I'm not reading this whole thing, but one quick point I want to make here, and this is his quote. What I saw was definitely not from space. The man was wearing fatigues and had a cap with the bill broken up like Air Force mechanics wear, Lexon said. It had common English letters on it. So, you know, he was very clear. This is not an alien spacecraft. He did not meet an ET. This was a man-made craft. Absolutely.
So the chevrons he saw, did we have any idea what his rank might be?
Could have been some type of Navy connection, as Jim had talked about. Some type of Navy connection. Maybe we can.
Rosemary says hi, Michael.
Oh, hi, Rosemary.
Dolly.
Yeah.
Hi, Rosemary.
My sweet wife.
My mama's name was Rosemary.
Close the door, babe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Any thoughts again, Jim, on what the chevrons would mean on the guy's
99
upper
today.
shoulder?
Holy smokes. Amazing. Happy birthday.
Oops.
I think the guy knew it was Black Ops. Yeah.
The chevrons were on the shoulder.
Yeah, upper
Was it on a
shoulder
pad
area.
or was it on actually on the uniform?
I think it was just below his shoulder area, but right in that area.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah.
my master sergeant sharp stripes,
Yes.
when they came out with the new top one for master sergeant, it goes probably 3 inches down or 2 inches down from my shoulder and about 2 inches up from my elbow, and that's where the insignia is.
sounds like early Space Force insignia.
Yeah. Could be.
That maybe where they got their idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I want to give everyone a world exclusive here. And I want to thank my good friend Monty Earwood for making all this possible. So I've been so captivated by this Eddie Lexon case that I thought, wouldn't it be great if we had a scale model of this thing and we could actually look at what this thing actually looks like? So let me try to hit you with this here. So here's the scale model that shows you what this thing actually looks like. It lights up in the inside. We've got the insignia in there. We've got the spire. We've got the air stair door. We've got the pogo landing gear. We've got the 3.5 foot diameter porthole window divided into 4 equal pi segments. Here's the side view here. So you can see what Eddie Lexon was actually pulling up on here,
Yeah. You know what it's reminiscent of? I swear to you,
What?
without the wings, Flash Gordon
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I swear. Even the, oh my
So
God.
the question, Dolly, is science fiction mimicking reality, or is reality mimicking science fiction?
I think
It
there's a
could be
little bit of
both.
both.
Could be both.
I
Could
really
be
do.
both.
I
Okay,
really
so
think there's
let's
a little bit
I'm
of
gonna
both.
go with
go
the
to the next
former.
Now, at the very aft part of this thing, you can see the flight controls. I don't necessarily know they were flight controls. They could have been in another electrostatic discharge area, but he definitely did describe flight controls. We'll do a blow up here. And again, you can see TL4768 written on the side of the craft.
Yeah. You know, it kind of looks like it was meant to go in the water, just saying.
Very
Okay.
possible.
Well,
Very
like
possible.
Yeah.
Jules Verne's Nautilus, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah. But it's everything is going toward the back, and it's got a back fin, and it's.
Well, I know they were working on flying submarines way back in the mid 1950s. I found that out doing research for the Catalina Island USO whole complex.
Yeah, and the round window would fit more with going into the water pressure-wise.
Yeah, right.
And the front plate coming down, that's sealable. A lot of subs have that configuration as well. And it looks like
not the door. The door with the stairs. That
the door with the stairs is different, but that can become airtight. Okay. It just looks like it should have been able to go into the water to me. It really does.
We can take this all the way back to the late 1800s, Dolly, because even Tesla had talked about his electric flying torpedo that was almost the identical shape that what you're doing here. So now we've got Tesla being tied into all this.
Yeah, well,
amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let's go to the next one. So here's the air stair door. You can see this is where the guy was standing right next to this, you know.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's
and the
really
lights were on the legs. Those are lights pointing down the legs, right?
Those are and they all light up too. They all light up. There's the insignia.
Okay.
And then I think we got one more. That's the aft section here.
Yeah, there you go, Tofan.
And then back to here. So now we want to talk about the National UFO Historical Record Center in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. This is about 25 minutes northwest of Albuquerque. This has been in operation for about 5 months now. I want to give credit to my good friend David Marler, who has been campaigning for this. It's been a crusade for him. This gentleman has executed the plan. I mean, he devised the concept, he followed it through, and now it's a reality. It is part of the Rio Rancho school system. It's recognized officially by the school system. The mayor of Rio Rancho was there to cut the ribbon. So this is a legitimate organization. Now it's available to the public. It's free of charge. It's by reservation only. You have to set up an appointment. You just can't show up. But it is available to the general public. I want to give you what they have here. We're talking about original QFOS files, NICAP, APRO, audio tapes, videotapes, cassette tapes, film reels, collections from all around the world, historical UFO artifacts, artwork. This is an unprecedented collection, and he's getting international collections being sent to the National UFO Historical Record Center on a weekly basis. And I'm talking like 10 bank boxes per collection. That's what's going on here.
That's about time, and it's awesome. Oh my head. This is really great. Congratulations that they're doing this.
Oh yeah. So my thought was, it doesn't make sense to fly out here from California every weekend and blow $1,000. It makes more sense to just move out here and go over the files. And so that's what I've done here. I want to give you a tour through the facility here. This is what the outside looks like. This is our logo here up on the upper right. And we've got 2 of these large buildings, you could call them. And they've all been converted. They're very, it's a legitimate research organization here. Yes. This is the entry to the second building. And I'm going to take you, this is the entry to the first building that also has an extensive library, audio tapes, videotapes, motion picture film reels. Let me take you inside. So here is the research area. On the back is a collection that has been missing for 50 years. This is the mysterious and elusive APRO collection that's been missing for 50 years. It's been donated to David Marler's collection.
All those filing cabinets?
All those filing, everything you see on the back Yep.
Holy buckets.
So I'm going to ask
And-
again, does APRO know you have that there?
It's
That
all
was
been,
defunct.
everything is on the up and up. Everything
Okay.
is on the up
All
and
right.
up. Yes. And these file cabinets had tape seals on them, dated, and literally this stuff has been sealed for 40 and 50 years.
Where were
So
they?
what,
Are we allowed to know?
yeah, well, I mean, it's open to the public. So what I've been doing is it takes me about 2 days to get through one file cabinet. And I'm not talking, light research. I'm talking about going into every file cabinet, every file, every manila folder, and every page, and looking for drawings, sketches, illustrations, flight path report, and a 3-page report. If it has that, I will scan it. If it doesn't, I won't. But
Okay.
you can see the magnitude of the cases here. And a lot of this stuff has never been published. It's never been seen.
Yeah, well, they were the first. APRO was really the first civilian UFO organization of any real size. So that's amazing.
So,
Yeah.
and off to the left, you've got the QFOS files. Let me go to the next slide here. These are the QFOS files. This used to be 2457 West Peterson Avenue, downtown Chicago, the J.L. and Hynek Research Center. And now it's over here. So we've got all of that as well.
Wow.
Let me hit you with the next slide. So here's kind of my scanning station here.
Okay.
I've just got my document scanner, my high capacity. I got my laptop, and when I get something, I scan it in. This is a legitimate organization. You have to have a laminated card. So when you take out a file, you have to put that in there. I mean, David runs it like a university library, the way it should be.
But no protesters inside or
Yeah,
the
no
homeless.
Nope.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones in the back room here. Let me go to the next slide. So here you can see this is the periodical section. You've got books, you've got periodicals, you've got foreign newsletters. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you really have to geek out on this stuff to get excited about it.
We'd never
Is
see
this
Preston
all going
again.
to be digitized at one point?
It's going to be scanned. I mean, this is a multi-year project, but he's got volunteers that come there during the weekend. We're having another person come in there during the week, and I hope to do more scanning during the week in addition to the weekends. Let's go to the next slide. So just a very small section of the book area here, but you can see he's now Top Gun. David Marler is now Top Gun. He's the leader. He's got the biggest collection now, and it's now open to the public.
I recognize a couple of those books, actually.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. What you had on the
There's one
table
from
was
Stringfield. There's the Roper survey.
Good for you, Preston, to know that. That's great.
Mike. When you did your table where you're working, there's a photo of a boy at a window looking. That's something that I've seen Preston do a story on. I
think so.
that photo.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a different case, but very close, very close.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to take you to some of the results that I've been getting after doing some research here. And I want to go over to this case. So this is January 1st, 1970, British Columbia, Canada. This is a nurse by the name of Doreen Kendall, and this is at the hospital. Now, she was on the 3rd floor. Very good case. This is a famous case, well documented. She's on the 3rd floor. She's making her rounds, and she notices that one of her patients is getting restless. So she kind of goes over to the room. She opens up the blinds, and I'm going to go to the next slide here. And this is what she sees. She opens up the blinds, and immediately parked outside the 3rd floor window is a 50-foot diameter dish-shaped craft with a bubble transparent canopy tipped up at a 10-degree angle. And it's right outside the window, hovering off the ground. There were 2 men inside the craft itself. They were wearing a one-piece tight-fitting black flight suit that covered their entire bodies up to their necks and up to their wrists. And they had helmets on as well. Let me go to the next slide here. This gives you a more clear illustration of what this thing actually looks like. Now, both men were standing next to bar stools, you can call them.
Yeah.
One of them was further away from the witness.
Oh, we lost you, Michael.
Can't hear you. You knocked it. There you go.
How about now? Am I back?
We got you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so the one that was facing the control panel, which consisted of buttons and switches and dials and levers, he was oblivious to Doreen Kendall. He didn't even know that she was watching them. The guy on the far left did know that they were being watched. So he tapped the shoulder of the guy who was looking at the control panel, and then this guy proceeded to pull back and forth this lever, and then this thing flew away. Just absolutely bizarre. Let me go to the next one here. Here's the technical drawing that shows you the altitude that this thing was hovering.
Yeah.
60 feet off the ground, tipped up. This is more like a 30 to 35 degree angle. And then I'll go to the next slide. This shows you the occupants, the control panel. He's got the bar stools in there. We've got the lever that this guy activated. There was a series of lights going around the outer rim of the craft. So then we go to her drawing here. And it's actually her drawing, her sketch with her signature on it. The inside is tipped toward me and looking into same. The instrument panel was larger than shown, as the first man was at the controls, consisted of large and small circles brilliantly lit up. So this is her original drawing. I mean, it's historic stuff that has literally not been seen before.
No, I have not seen this.
Been sitting there for 40, 50 years. Let's go on to the next one.
Do we think this is ET?
No, it is not.
I don't think it's ET. No,
Not at all.
I don't think it's ET.
The lever is interesting me though, because there's a thing with
it's a
ET with that.
UAP.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, thank
That's
you. Yeah.
What's it doing hovering outside the children's wing of Cody
I
Town?
know. So, this goes back to you, Preston, because you've got all these cases of schoolyard UFOs, and it was at the third floor ward section of the hospital. This is the illustration that when I saw this, I was shocked because I had never seen this color illustration before.
Oh,
Never
that's
saw
beautiful.
this before.
Now, who did this illustration?
It says, I don't want to give the letters. 1972.
JT, isn't it? Or,
No,
JT
it's
or
not
J-
JT.
or,
It's
I
definitely
mean-
not JT.
I'm sorry, BJ or BT.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Let me go to the next.
This is not a military hospital. It's a private hospital.
This
okay?
is a private hospital. Do a blow up here of the control section here, and I thought, go ahead.
For 1972, that's pretty. That's an amazing
Yeah, they're trying to be seen.
rendering. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the only
it's
reason he does
great.
schools if they want to be seen. This sounds a lot the same. They wanted to be seen by a particular person, maybe. I don't know.
It could be.
There
That
may have
could
been
be.
an abductee that was in the hospital.
I don't know. Maybe.
Good
And-
question. Good
you know,
question.
My labbing is serious stuff. Okay, they go to almost any lengths, and who knows? I mean,
This looks like your standard UFO. Why would this not be
no.
ET? How could we
For three
know?
reasons. There are little lights that go all the way around. It's a glass bubble. ET doesn't fly that way at all. There are no bells and whistles. There's no buttons. There's no panels on ET craft at all. It's very stark. It's almost nothing there. They're flying in a different way than you understand. And it's totally different technology. And the only thing that reminds me of ET is the fact that it's saucer shaped, but it's got divots and stuff in it. That's not a real ET craft.
Well,
not at
it's
all.
divots. It's got little lights, but
Well, that would be a divot. ET doesn't run lights like that at all. They'll
Mhm.
array, but they won't. They don't have like permanent lights dinked into
Right.
their fuselage.
So
you know?
when I saw this, I guess it's a color pencil drawing, which I think is just
Yeah.
phenomenally done here.
Yeah.
I brought this to Rudy's attention. We looked through the file. We went through all the drawings, all the sketches, all the illustrations, and we decided to do kind of a blow up here. And so this is what Rudy came up with.
Yeah. ET also
Wow.
doesn't have like if you look at an ET craft, and Michael, tell me I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Everything is one piece. In other words, there aren't seams on
Yeah.
ET craft.
Right.
Completely without seams, and this does show seams.
The term we're looking for is antiseptically sterile inside.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
what it looks like on
Yeah.
an ET craft. You
That's
don't have levers.
No.
This is. I'm definitely voting for the terrestrial explanation here. So something
Exactly.
like this was just parked right outside her window,
Wow.
literally right outside the window.
Mhm.
I wonder, the motive is what really intrigues me.
Yeah,
Do they
I
have free
agree.
reign to just fly with? Let's check
Yep.
it out.
I'd love to figure that out. Yeah, you may never find out, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's crazy. You'd have to get a
Okay.
detail of whoever was in that hospital that night and go through all their personal files and figure out who was what and where and why and how much contact each one of them ever had.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? Military, everything to try to figure that one out. It's extensive work. Okay.
Times Colonist, January 5th, 1970. Human-like pair in saucer. Craft hovers 50 feet from hospital. So there's documented paperwork, newspaper clippings to back this up. Next one, and I've talked about this before, but I got a little bit of a different spin. So USS FDR, November 1958, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. So this was a shakedown cruise with the USS FDR aircraft carrier. Our original source is a man named Chester Grzinski. Now, I talked to him on the phone 15 years ago. He's no longer with us now. He was the primary eyewitness, and what he described, this is at night, 9:30 p.m. on the USS FDR, just exactly the same that you see here on this photograph. At night, there was commotion below decks. There was screaming and yelling and swearing, and all these naval personnel were climbing up ladders to get to the flight deck, which you see here. I'm going to go to the next slide. And what they ended up seeing is when they got to the top, and this is Chester's original sketch here from the MUFON report, 25 naval personnel shown on the sketch saw a 200-foot long cigar-shaped craft that was orange, yellow in color that parked itself about 100 feet above the flight deck. And they said that you could feel the heat emanating off this craft onto their faces. Yep. So it's a CE1 because it's a close encounter of the first kind. It's a CE2 because it has physical effects. And he said that it had these square windows, and walking back and forth between these square windows or rectangular windows were what looked like humanoid-looking beings that were looking back at them back on the aircraft carrier. One of them had his hand above his head and was waving back to the guys on the deck of the aircraft carrier.
Okay.
So let's go here. This is a blow up here, and on the detailed view on the bottom, you can see this, we'll just call it a humanoid, with his arm above his head waving to the people below. So going through the APRO files within David Marler's collection, and we'll go to the full color rendering here, this just kind of gives you an idea of what this might have looked like at 9:30 p.m. Beautiful. On the flight deck of the USS FDR. We'll do a blow up here, and now you can see this being looking back and waving here. So the point I wanted to make is within this collection was the original pen drawing and letter from Chester Grzinski. This is his original one here, which is historic. It's historic. He says, it turned red-orange, then shot out of sight. We had a lot of Navy brass come aboard after that with the Chief of Naval Operations. So here's the Navy again. The Navy does not say anything about it. I sent a letter to NICAP of Kensington, Maryland, and to the National Archives and Record Service in Washington, D.C. to see if that UFO report has been declassified. After a period of time, I went AWOL from the Roosevelt, and we won't go any further. But this is a good drawing. It's historic, and it's now in the archives.
And there was a whole bunch of sightings, surrounding this on the FDR.
Yes, there is. That's right.
This is one of, 20 or something like that.
Well, as you know, Preston, the USS FDR was the first aircraft carrier to carry nuclear weapons on board. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was ET, probably.
Very possibly. Very possibly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, Otto Binder historical UFO sighting reports. We've talked about a couple of these before. We'll rip through a few of these here. August 5th, 1965, the Air Force's Keweenaw radar station in Upper Michigan picked up a V formation of UFOs flying across Lake Superior at a speed of 9,000 miles an hour at an altitude nearly 17,000 feet. The Air Force could not deny they were solid objects. So, Jim, the Blackbird in the form of the A-12 first flew in 1962. This is 1965. So the SR-71 was flying, but certainly not at 9,000 miles an hour.
Well, the SR-71 was still in flight test.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my boss in General Gatlin, he was 1954 time frame, chased a sphere over Lake Superior every time. They were flying F-94Cs, and they're the Shooting Star, or Starfire, whatever. But it was a advanced version of the T-33, the militarized version, and the most armored of the F-94 series. The Minnesota Guard Air Guard and the Air Force both flew F-94s out of Duluth.
Mm-hmm.
And General Gatlin was a major at the time, and he was in the alert barn. And when they got a call from Finley Air Force Station, this is a fast-moving unknown over Lake Superior. Now, Lake Superior makes its own weather. I mean, it's a huge, very, very cold body of water, and it can be really, really hot in the summer. So you can get thunderstorms and stuff just created over the lake. And most private aircraft and even a lot of military aircraft, they avoid going across the widest point. They just assume go around it because you can never tell what happened. But General Gatlin was up with two other birds. There were a total of 3 of them. And they had him on the weapons radar, but every time the thing locked on, the radar would turn off.
Was this at night or during the day?
It was during the day. During the day.
Okay.
And as they're coming towards Finley, I mean, they're in afterburner in an F-94, which is all that does is just drink a lot of fuel. And it's non-supersonic, but you can only run the afterburner for about 90 seconds. And as they're heading towards them, the guys in Finley said, "It's coming right towards us. We didn't go past. It's disappeared."
Right.
And General Gatlin got on the radio and said, "It didn't disappear. It's hovering directly above your
location." Yeah.
So they ran out. As they ran out, this General Gatlin said it was visibility unlimited. You could, I mean, if you were in a well and you looked up, you could see the stars. The sky was so clear, even broad daylight. He said this thing went straight up out of sight. And they had no explanation.
When they were hovering, they went straight up. I'm trying to picture this. So first they're going 9,000 miles an hour. Then they stopped and hovered, and then they went straight up.
Yep. Disappeared.
Yeah, that would be ET. 9,000 miles an hour is only 2,700 feet per second. And that's what they're capable. They can actually go 12,000 miles an hour, but for you to see them, they have to reduce to 9,000. So that was an absolute show to you guys. Period.
Dave Fruhoff, when he saw one and chased it in an SR-71, said that it left him. He figured it was leaving at about Mach 12.
Yeah, yeah, they can do that too. Yeah.
Jim, do you want to talk about?
Okay, go ahead.
You want to talk about Bay Area Tricon, Jim?
The
sighting.
The Bay Area. Oh yeah. Robert J. Garrow was my roommate in Lowry Air Force Base. He was an air traffic controller, and he got out of the. He had 21 years in the Air Force, and he went to work at the Bay Area Tricon in Oakland. It took me a second for that to register what you were saying, Michael.
That's okay.
And he had been at Walker Air Force Base, which is Roswell. He was at Edwards. He was at a few other facilities where he's tracked everything from SR-71s to rockets to RB-57s and XB-70s and stuff. So he knows what he was looking at. And there was an event where an object in controlled airspace, it was climbing, went through his airspace. They figure on the number of sweeps when it came in and just before it left, there was only one full sweep in between. And they figured it was about 8,000 miles an hour. And they called, and it had priority over everything out there. And they called Beale because the only thing they knew that could fly, over 2,000 miles an hour was the SR-71. And a full bird colonel and a young captain came to the Tricon to see the tapes and whatever. And the colonel was with the general manager, and this young captain was talking to Bob. Now, Bob he ate, breathed, and lived air traffic control.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
That was his thing. Yeah. Yeah. And this captain said, "Well, Mr. Garrow, you probably didn't know what you're looking at." And Bob went ballistic. He said, "Look, buddy boy," he says, "I've been seeing weird things in high flying in high speed aircraft since before your dad poked your mother for the first time. And the colonel heard that. He can run out and say, no, Mr. Goodall, you don't understand. You didn't see a thing. This is 1982.
Okay.
And it was the report. I mean, they're when a full bird colonel comes out and they confiscate the tapes and everything. But you know, and Bob didn't even know what my passions were when he told me this. It was sort of, well, the nerve of this captain saying that I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. He said it just irritated the hell out of me.
They got no scramble from this. They got no military scramble on this at all, right? Nothing came out.
Nothing.
None. Okay.
But
they wouldn't.
But if you draw a straight line from where it entered the radar and where it left the radar, and you draw a straight line, you go from Area 51 off the coast at Coos Bay. And
so, Jim, the fact that you said that this thing had priority, so are we saying that, you know, it was intentional? They knew about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is one of ours then, Jim?
It had to be.
It had to be. Okay.
Because there's only one airplane that has priority over the SR-71, and that's Air Force One.
Okay.
The SR-71 has priority over everything else.
Nice.
And this thing had priority over the SR-71 operations.
Okay.
And Dave Fruhoff, who was the SR-71 pilot, I think I'm not sure if I talked about him chasing one, but this was like 1972, 73 timeframe when he chased a craft, and they're there. I mean, it just irritates the hell out of me. Bill Fox, everybody called him Foxy. He was 35 years at the Skunk Works. And he of his 35 years, he spent 10 full years at Area 51. He was with the U-2, he was with the A-12, the D-21, YF-12. And so I asked him when I first met him, I said, "Do you believe in UFOs?" He said, "Absolutely, positively, they do exist." But he wouldn't expand upon it. And another guy, and I can't remember, it was one of the road runners who spent a lot of time at Area 51. He said the same thing. You're absolutely, they do exist. So I've always had an interest in it, but when Dave Fruhoff was telling me about it, all he did was ask me if he believed in UFOs, and he says, "Yeah, absolutely, positively, they do exist." And that's when he went into his talking about chasing one.
Wow.
And
I have a question. It's seriously important to know the answer to this from you too. In all your years of experience, all the knowledge that you two have gained, seen, has there ever been an incident where a UFO or cadre of them did any damage to anything on us or anybody else? Ever?
Well, we could go back to Frank Frascino's book, Shoot Them Down. During the early 1950s, there was a standing order by the Air Force to our pilots to shoot these things down. Now, what they don't tell you is we lost a lot of planes and we lost a lot of pilots associated with that. They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, pilot error, because they can outfly you. They can, I mean, if you're stupid enough to go after one and think you can, and then you get too close or you make a move that,
well, that's what happened to Thomas Mantell.
You lose control of your aircraft, you're going to go down. And I'm sure that they had a lot of hot dogs out there trying to make stripes for themselves, No,
it doesn't mean that there was an offensive threat or attack by the ETs, but it just means that we lost a lot of pilots and aircraft.
Yeah. That's
that happened. That happened.
Yeah. ET can outfly anything we've got, even the back engineered stuff, just so you know. They can hover you, cover you, they can do everything. Their technology is so far in advance. They know every move you're going to make before you even make it. If you're getting ready to think it, they already know it. That's how
my wife's the same way.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're going to,
she might be ET, Jane.
I never know. I know my daughter is.
Yeah. So it's crazy. My dad and I used to play a game, and you know how people play slap, or you put your hands out, you turn it up and down. We played it a little bit differently. We did this, and he would say, "Make a move," and he could block me every time before I even went to make the move. He was already blocking me, and he wasn't looking at me. His eyes were closed. Okay, and he said, "You can do it too. You give it a shot." And this is one of the games that we played together, and it made me realize that. First of all, that he was, because this is all the way back into my early childhood, the ETs are that psychic. They can tune into your brain, they can get a lock on you, and there's no way for you to outsmart them, outmaneuver them, or anything. And I laugh like crazy when this psionic stuff gets talked about now, because people are saying, "Oh, we brought them down," that kind of thing. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. You couldn't talk an ET down if you tried, because they already know what you're going to do. And it amazes me that people don't understand that the technology that they're back engineering to go after everybody doesn't behave at all. There's like 10 different points you can make to understand of what you're looking at, whether it's us or them, And
well, let's go to this next
okay, all right,
slide, because we need to make some progress in this PowerPoint.
Okay.
So this is December 29th, 1964. 2 UFOs speeding at 4,800 miles an hour and making a U-turn.
That's specific. Okay.
In the sky showed up on radar at the Navy's, I can never pronounce that, Air Station, Maryland. The Navy refused to agree with the Air Force in calling them false images. So in this case, it looks like the Navy was running this. They knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the Navy keeps popping up on all these cases. Like
the Navy is the one that all that technology is managed by them. That's why the 2-star that I had a short meeting with in the Pentagon was so upset. Is because I had a W-2 from a place that he knows no one knows about, and that's why he was so upset when I asked where this Department of the Navy was located.
So these are presumably ours, because UFOs don't need to make a U-turn so much.
No,
they can stop and
turn on a dime. Yeah.
Again, I go back to Bill Fox, flight test guy from the Skunk Works. He said, we can have an object going 4,000 miles an hour and make a sharp 90-degree turn. That technology exists. It just exists in the form of electronics that can operate when the gravity is increased by 100 times or 200 times when they make that turn.
So would these be manned or unmanned then? Because if they're...
Well, I mean, again...
I'm going to spill. It depends on how much electromagnetic energy you're using and whether you've created an environment for a human being to be in. It buffers them. It keeps them from being tossed.
Turned to jelly.
Right, exactly. And they do, I know they have. They've back engineered enough to be able to turn, like do a sharp turn or a 90-degree turn, like you're saying, without murdering people to do it. Okay.
And Foxy had indicated that we have the technology that they can make a turn, and you don't even feel the turn.
Right. You did. There's no inertia, none.
Yeah.
This is exactly what John Lear's father, William Lear, had talked about, because he was definitely involved in gravity research.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Where the pilots would not feel the tremendous G forces. This has all been talked about by William Lear. Absolutely, they've made the breakthrough. They've done it. Let's go on here. Early August 1909, Marlborough Sounds, New Zealand. A frightened boatman saw a UFO which shot down strange missiles that made a strange fizzing sound before sinking. Occupants were dimly seen within the mystery saucer. So 1909, we're seeing these things, okay? So let's see if we can go to a full color rendering, something like this,
They're dumping the garbage?
This can't be ours in 1909.
I know, 1909. It's being seen. I've got cases from Oaxaca, Mexico in 1858, where a golden trumpet was seen hovering over the city for 6 hours. Hundreds of people saw this thing. So it keeps getting pushed back earlier and earlier. Let's go on here. July 9th, 1965, at the Azores airport, A slow-flying UFO cruised overhead, killing all aircraft engines for a time and stopped all electronic clocks until it later vanished from sight. So now we've got CE1 and CE2 effects. So it's definitely being reported. Let's go on here. August 1965, Paris, without any cause, a Frenchman fired 18 rifle shots at a UFO before a gendarme warned him to stop. The policeman said, "What if the saucer fired back?" Well, that's the kind of reception you get here in Earth, right? You come here with the greatest of intents, with a peaceful handshake, and we fire on you. That's what we do here.
Yeah, I can tell you 20 cases of that.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's go on here. Something like this. This is how you're met if you're a civilization with a peaceful intent coming here to our planet. All right. November 12th, 1887, Cape Race. To a lighthouse keeper's astonishment, a strange ball of fire whizzed down from the sky to dive into the sea, reappearing a mile away and roaring off into the sky. So this thing came down, went about a mile underwater. It was a USO, and then picked back up and went back up into space. So
cooling off.
I wanted to do some digging. I wanted to do some digging.
Yeah, 4,600 degrees hot. They come in full of plasma and they dive into the water to cool off. They can't go near you that hot. To go
that rules out the fireball theory.
Down. It would burn buildings, burn people. It would be bad. So they dive into the water, and they use fresh water as well as salt water to cool off. Period. That's what they do. Yep.
So I did a little bit of digging on this case. Here's the map of where this all went down here. You can see the lighthouse. This is what it looks like today, because it's a little bit different than what it used to be back in 1887. But this is the exact same location. And so here is the newspaper clipping. This is 1887. I'm not going to read all this, but it says, "To the general public, the most interesting matter to be printed on the December pilot chart of the North Atlantic Ocean, to be issued the latter part of this week, is a description of a globular lightning, that strangest of all electric phenomenon, seen by Captain Moore in the British steamship." It goes on here that talks about this sighting in particular. And then starting in July of 1909, New Zealanders began seeing strange airships long before the term UFOs or flying saucers came into use. The flap continued with increasing intensity until September 1st, 1909. So you've got the 1897 mystery airship wave, and then there was another mystery airship wave in 1909 as well. So we've got two of these waves that have hit. June 27th, 10 a.m., near La Cruces, New Mexico, Mrs. D. Applezoner sighted a flying light bulb that slanted down as if to land, vanishing in the distance. So we've got triangles, we've got boomerangs, we've got saucers, we've got flying platforms. Now we've got flying light bulbs as well. Every conceivable configuration here. Carlsbad Current, 1947. It says, of San Miguel, some 8 miles south of La Cruces, hasn't seen anything shining flying disc, but something unusual whistled by her house so low that she thought it would hit her head. So this is just giving a little bit of newspaper backing on this case. Here's another one. June 29th. This is all part of the 1947 flap. 11 a.m. near Pendleton, Oregon. Mrs. Morton Elder was astonished to see 7 flying umbrellas streak through the sky at great speed. So now we've got flying umbrellas too.
Yeah. That's the first time I remember seeing anybody. I was 5.5 years old, and they came down and looked just like a damn umbrella. I'm not kidding you. I told Preston this years ago. It looked like a damn umbrella to me. And it wasn't, but they were arraying like that. They showed themselves like umbrellas sometimes. It's a thing. That's not what they really look like. They just array like that. The skin of the craft can look like anything. I want you to understand that. And umbrellas is a big deal. They love umbrellas.
Now, 1947 was a big UFO flap. 1952 was an even bigger UFO flap. So if there's anybody skeptical that might be listening to this, I just invite you to go to NICAP.org, click on Chronos, where they have everything in chronological order, and just spend a rainy Sunday afternoon going through the 1952 cases. And what you're going to find is case after case of military witnesses, military pilots that are reporting this. I mean, this is a real phenomenon that's actually going on here.
Yep.
And Otto Binder did this whole tiny little tidbits of case after case after case that most people have never heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is Eugene Gard, June 30th, 1947. The flying saucer controversy continued to rage thick and fast Monday, with eyewitnesses converts almost as numerous as announced skeptics. The new reports of the mystery disc appearances continued over the weekend. They talk about this, the umbrellas, different configurations here. This is what it says here. Mrs. Morton Elder, Pendleton area farm wife, reported seeing 7 perfectly round umbrella-like objects flying in a northerly direction around 11 a.m. on Sunday. So that brings us to this gentleman. Preston, I don't know if you know who this is, but this is someone that I think everyone should be aware of. This guy was a genius. This guy was very smart. He's no longer with us. His name is Tony Gonzalez. And what he did is he took a look at the witness reports of the Hudson Valley boomerang, precisely what they were describing. They were describing this boomerang-shaped craft with a triangle trailing edge, just like the B-21 that we know of today, but way back in 82 timeframe. He listened to the witnesses, what they were saying. They said that on the bottom of this craft, it had transparent panels where you could look up inside, showing you the truss, beam, and girder construction. It had lights. This thing could hover. It could move like it was on concrete or like on a turntable. He took all this information together and he built a scale model of what the witnesses were saying. I think we should go over a couple of quick points here. He was born March 8th, 1942. Graduated from East Providence High School, 1959. Served in the U.S. Navy for 4 years as a jet mechanic and a plane captain. He served aboard 3 aircraft carriers, the Intrepid, the FDR, the Constellation. On the FDR, he was assigned to the catapult officer. His specific responsibility was to check the weight of every aircraft before being launched off the carrier deck. Wow. During his tour of duty, Tony was exposed to military aircraft flying at night at different speeds, both subsonic and supersonic, at different altitudes. He witnessed dogfights, missile tests, rescue operations. He saw fighters, bombers, and reconnaissance aircraft. So what I'm trying to drive home here is this guy was a trained witness. He breathed aircraft. I mean, he dealt with weight and balance. He was a perfect witness to be seeing all this. So here he is at one of his lectures, UFO sightings attributed to U.S. secret aircraft, New Times, February 19th, 1990. So I tracked down his widow. She agreed to meet. I did a half-an-hour videotape interview talking about her late husband. And then she brought out his model of all things. Okay.
Cool.
So let me try to hit you with that here. We'll do a blow up here. And now keep in mind, this is a working model. It has hair dryer engines in it. It turns on a dime. It's got flashing lights. When you turn off the lights and turn the lights on in the craft, he can make the whole thing turn just exactly the way the Hudson Valley boomerang turned back in 82 to 89.
That's ours, not ET. That's
correct.
Ours.
That's correct. So here's the top view looking down. You can see the air intakes within the cockpit windows. And this literally looks identical to the B-21 today because it has a single...
Well, it's also the early models of the B-2.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
When it was strictly a high altitude airplane, but then they said, no, we want to go high, then low, then high to assist in avoiding radar.
Yep.
But that is the B-2, the original B-2 configuration, as well as the B-21.
Now, is it possible that some of the aircraft over the Hudson Valley wave were ET? Because a lot of people reported, full-fledged onboard encounters and seeing little grays.
Well, see, I understand what you're saying, Preston. Now, for J.L. and Hynek and Phil Imbrogno, it was a bridge too far for J.L. and Hynek. He did not want to bring in these other reported contact cases because he thought that, this is crazy enough without bringing in potential contact cases. So for J. Allen Hynek, it was a bridge too far, and those cases were not included within the book. But I know what you're saying, and I've heard of some of those reports as well.
So maybe there was two things going on here:
That's
a
very
real
possible.
wave and a cover wave.
No, people lose their minds in sightings, okay? And they literally start, it causes mental problems for some people. And it's not true. The Hudson Valley Wave is us, not them, period. I've told you that a bunch. It's not us.
Yeah, but I'm just pushing back here a little bit because there's a
I know.
lot of people.
I know, and you got to be careful unless you hook them up.
occupants.
Yeah, you got to really dive into their mental status and what they're doing and why.
But it was separate
It's
from the
not
sightings. They
Nope.
go home that night, ETs would come.
ET had nothing to do with the Hudson Valley Wave. I know this for a fact. Nothing.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue on here. Front view, you can see the attach points. You see the air intakes for the hair dryer engines. Let me do another
That's
view here. This is a 3/4. I would call it looking on the left. This is about a 35-degree look down angle. He's got flight controls. I will show you the bottom of this, which has the transparent panels. This is what showed the interior structure that looked like a cross beam and girder construction. So here's the aft view here.
yeah.
I was wondering what the three things were on top, and I realized they were for hanging it from the ceiling.
That's correct.
Right,
That's
right,
correct.
yeah.
The actual one didn't have that.
No, this is true.
unless they retracted.
Mhm.
What did you build it out of? What was it made of?
I think it's fiberglass and
Wow.
basswood.
Time. Wow.
Guy did a good job. He
Also
was
with
brilliant. He was
Wow.
brilliant. So here's a little bit more of a front view here. And then I'm going to go to the control panel. This is the control panel that he built, all from scratch. And this thing moves, it turns, it lights up, perfectly sequenced to the actual craft itself. I mean, I'm just so blown away how intelligent this guy is. That's the bottom view.
There it is. Yeah.
That's what it looks
there
like.
it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. What did he say that it had lights that it could light up underneath?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but I have this on film. I actually have this on film at night, and it's up like this, and it's all lit up on the bottom. Only you see the triangle of it. Okay, literally lit up. And I was like, this is not ET. I can't even contact it. What the heck? And I started filming it, and it freaked me out because it's not. And I started to add things together and doing some researching myself. And I realized this is us, not them, not now. And I have it on. I'll show it to you. I'm not kidding you.
I invite anyone who's listening to this, chime in on the chat. If you're from Brewster, New York, if you're from White Pond,
Yeah.
if you're from anywhere along the Taconic State Parkway, chime in, because we're talking about 25,000 eyewitnesses between 1982 and 1989 saw the
Wow.
Hudson Valley boomerang
Yeah.
hovering over the Taconic State Parkway at treetop level, completely silent, and then making this turn like it's on a turntable, and all of the lights move like they were embedded in concrete. So we're not talking about planes flying in formation, because we absolutely did have planes flying in formation, but the people that saw the planes and the authentic Hudson Valley boomerang immediately could tell the difference. We're talking about two different things here.
Wow. That's incredible. I'm gonna try to show it to you right now. Hold on a minute. I have to pause it and I have to make it bigger.
Yeah, well, I wonder about some of these incidents still being ET.
Can you see that
Just
on my
saying.
phone?
Yeah, it's a little reflective there, down
Okay.
a little bit there. Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
That's it.
Interesting.
I
Looks
watched
like
it.
a triangle. Yep.
Yeah, and it's all lit up, and it's that configuration. What's weird about it is it got closer, and I saw the mid part of it, but it wasn't lit up, but I could see through it, and it freaked me out. I mean, it freaked me out. Do you know what year this was? It was 2015. Okay, 2015. I saw it, and where I saw it was in Florida, and I mean, it was 20 minutes in doing it, and I filmed it, and it just, I've had this the whole time. I've kept it with me because there are just some things that are not ET, and I like to show people, this isn't it. And now you're showing it to me point blank.
Well, the
I
other
know
thing to
that.
keep in mind too is if you look at the timing, the
Mhm.
Reagan buildup was between 1981 and 1986. So there was a 5-year Reagan buildup that coincides virtually perfectly with the Hudson Valley sightings. Like the SDI program, an offshoot of SDI could have been associated with this program. It's very possible. So this is what people are reporting here. Quote from B2 subcontractor. I'll tell you this much. Your friend is right. We are flying nuclear reactors on aircraft. You'll never see one flying in the rain. And that's true. Hudson Valley boomerang was never
rain nuclear waste right down on people. Yeah. Nothing like a nuclear bath.
It was primarily reported on Thursday nights. Thursday nights is when it was seen, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is pre-flight. Thursday night is the test flight. Friday's debrief. Saturday, Sunday, there's no one at the base. So that's why we have these Thursday night test flights. Keeps going on. Is there a secret version of this aircraft lurking in a hangar somewhere, something much larger that uses nuclear reactor? That's the question I'm thinking here. Is there something else going on here? Blueook Times, July 17th, 1909. Stealth bomber makes first flight back in 1989. So it can't be the B-2, because the B-2 first flight is 1989. Hudson Valley boomerang was essentially 82 to 89. So it predates the first flight of the B-2. Could we be looking at something else? Go ahead.
Steve Douglas shot this configuration. He thought it was 2 B-2s over Amarillo.
Yeah.
33,000 feet. And the one with only 3 trailing edge points was above the contrail of the B-2. And there was no way that you would ever mistaken it for anything other than a B-2. And as they were going, they separated. I think that one object was going one direction, and the B-2 they were heading in different directions, even though they were going basically westbound. So Steve sent me just the raw negative. I put it in Photoshop, and I hit color, contrast, and tone. When I hit tone, this blue-white with a little bit of darker blue, but still really washed out, all of a sudden popped. The sky turned dark, and I have this exact same triangle-shaped fuselage with the wings, just like that, in November 2018. This is before the B-21 was flying, and you could tell on the gear doors that it had the same artwork that the B-2 did.
Huh.
It doesn't have a tail, so the tail code when it's when it's landing is on the gear door, and it was exact same configured. You have that, don't you have that shot?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've already seen that. Yep.
Yeah. And was that a B-2 or but it created a contrail when it left? So
it looks like it was a B-21 configuration using electrochromic panels, allowing it to blend in with the sky. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
Well, they've said for a long time they've been working on active camouflage since the 50s.
Yeah.
So why go right over the Taconic Highway and show themselves so blatantly?
Exactly.
Because they have to false flag all this stuff, because they're, like I said, I've said it 1,000 times, they have ideas of how they're going to use all this, and it's not pretty.
They were brazen. They were brazen. That's how it was described.
Not all of them were described in precisely that way, too. There was some people who saw saucer-shaped craft.
That's true too. That's true too.
I know that they've been able to cloak them, because there are a couple of places out west. I can remote view, and every now and then I play at it. I used to use Google Earth, okay, because I would remote view and then look for the coordinates psychically, and then go to them, and I would see stuff. And I started taking pictures of it. And the next thing I know, my computer is losing all my pictures and everything. So I sent a couple of them to a friend, and he called me up about a week later and said, well, some people I don't know came here and put me in handcuffs and put me in a van. And while I sat in the van, they went through all my stuff, took all my computers and everything. I don't have anything left. And I thought, oh my God, it's my fault. And one of the pictures that I had pulled off Google Earth was a big pad, square like a parking lot. It was all white concrete though, and there were vehicles on it that were cloaked, and it wasn't like a car; they were craft. Okay, and you could just the angle of the light and the lens coming from the Google satellite, you could make it out slightly, but it just sort of tried to blend in, and I sat there gobsmacked because this was a long time ago, okay? And I could not believe my eyeballs. And I thought, my God, they're cloaking. They know how to cloak. And that would be the kind of thing that they would use on this. See what I'm saying? Because it can mirror anything. And it was trying to mirror the ground.
Well, there's all kinds of talk about invisibility technology right now.
Yeah.
So this is the lighting pattern that people reported. So this is top view looking down. The bottom one is the bottom view with the lighting pattern. Let me go to the next slide here.
Yeah, that's it. That's lighting.
Stealth bomber wing redesign in 1983, Washington Post, October 9th, 1989. So this tracks exactly with what Jim had talked about, that prior to it was going to be this high altitude bombing platform, but then the U.S. Air Force decided they wanted both capability. They wanted a low altitude bombing platform that required them to redesign the wing to make it stronger for the aeroelasticity. And then that's why we have this $1 billion wing redesign. But the original configuration looked just like the Hudson Valley boomerang.
Yep.
This is a interesting testimony I got from Dan Bankert, my good friend. And the gentleman's name is Oscar Seyfarth via 2016. This is a defense contractor. This is what he said. Defense contractor who worked at the Northrop facility, Air Force Plant 42. 30-year 1986 NDA expired 2016. He was very reluctant to talk. He mentioned a secret version of the B-2 that was 50% larger, could hover, was silent, and utilized 3 engines. For every 3 B-2 stealth bombers produced, 1 advanced version was built for a total of 7. Stated that this craft was commonly mistaken for a UFO. So here we have the testimony of a very deep black defense contractor, no longer with us. He said there is a secret version of the B-2, and it's very possible because Northrop spent $22.4 billion on research and development for funding of the B-2. Some of that could have been filtered and siphoned off into this program.
Did it have capability? In other words, okay, so these are flying. Did they demonstrate at all these vehicles being able to hover at all, or do aeronautical moves that are not normal?
This is exactly what the Hudson Valley boomerang witnesses described.
That's right.
It was hovering over the Taconic State Parkway.
So my question is this.
Yeah.
Do they have batteries on board?
They could have nuclear reactors on board.
They better have damn batteries because it takes a ton of electricity, energy to keep those reactors from overheating. See what I'm telling you? Well, they have to have a way to produce to keep them cool. And it takes a lot of power for that.
It could be a magnetic field disruptor. That's very possible. Giant wing UFO spotted in Mojave Desert on Thursday, May 1st. Here's this Thursday again, 2003, in the foothills just south of Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert, Southern California. My wife and I were driving our motorhome north toward Washington State when a large black wing appeared apparently out of thin air at an altitude of approximately 1,000 feet in the southerly direction. So here's another one of these large boomerang-shaped craft. So I'm just pointing out that it appears that our defense contractors, our primary defense contractors at Air Force Plant 42, have been building, designing, procuring, and test flying these type vehicles from at least the beginning of the Reagan administration.
Yep. Maybe a little before. Yeah.
That's possible. So that's what I have for you today.
No.
I think we made it through.
Blow us out of the water. Yeah. So tell me I want to ask you a simple question, Michael.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think the governments have gone to this trouble? Why do you think they've done this?
For a couple of reasons. Number one, they have to control the high ground, because anyone who controls the high ground in a warfare operations wins the war. You have to control the high ground. Number two is they want to basically They want to use the UFO brush to hide their own deep black programs. That's what they're doing as well. And it's used for psychological warfare operations. They want people to believe that this is extraterrestrial technology, when in point of fact, it's our own deep black programs.
Right. You can crowd control with these things as well.
Mhm.
I've seen a couple of their vehicles that are, in my mind, the best kind of crowd controllers there are. And they're not shaped like anything most people have ever seen before. They're very black ops. Okay.
It's kind of reverse psychology in a weird way. Reverse psychology. No,
Yeah.
it's not a UFO.
I know during
makes
storm,
people think it.
during storm Area 51 back in September of 19, the word came down from the Pentagon, or it could have come down from the president, that absolutely nobody will be allowed to penetrate the perimeter of Area 51.
Right.
And was it 5 million people responded to the post initially. There's only 183 beds in Lincoln, Esmeralda, and Nye County that are up, that you can rent, like a motel or a hotel room. And there's 5 million people coming. That's more than the whole state of Nevada. and they brought in all the non-lethal anti-personnel stuff. They had the microwave that makes you feel like you're on fire, and they had the brown sound, as they call it, extremely low frequency. It hits you, and your bowels empty, and your attitude and your enthusiasm is severely diminished when you have a pants full of poop.
I'm sorry.
But I went down and talked to one of the captains there. It was State Patrol Captain. I'm driving my Corvette, and I have white hair, so I don't look. I'm not a typical protester or whatever. I chatted with him. He said, "Well, there's more of us than there is of them, and there's only three arrests during the event. But it shows the true interest of Area 51 and things that go bump in the night. When you can have 5 million people from every walk of life you could ever imagine said, I think I'm going to try to come to Nevada. That sounds like a fun thing to do."
Well, they named it the Extraterrestrial Highway. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was after Independence Day. Yeah, and
funny thing, Nevada is mostly owned by the government. You know that, right?
7%.
Right.
They're well ensconced in there. They have the ability to show up at any time, anywhere, in a matter of seconds on anybody at all.
Yeah.
They come
and
from
people underestimate just how big
million.
Area 51 is. It's huge.
Yeah, and then there's Arizona, which is not as populated by the government, but getting close. And then coming east, there are places, the Sandia Mountains. They created the Ponte, as a cover for them to keep people from thinking there's anything going on in there. They think it's a UFO haven. It's not. Okay. There's all kinds of crazy stuff.
Disinformation is rampant.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Jim, do you want to comment on the low observable office at the 5th floor of the Pentagon's D-ring?
I haven't been to it.
Okay.
I've been in the low observable hangar at Whiteman.
Okay.
And they had the Spirit of Pennsylvania there, and they had every panel open, everything that could be opened up. I'm just looking, and my escort says, if you raise your camera, you'll get shot. I think I didn't see anybody with a gun, but I didn't want to be thrown out of the place either. And so you can look, but you can't photograph it.
Yeah, there will be people walking around with guns. They're snipers. They have sniper positions.
Well,
Use of
probably
deadly
not
force authorized.
Yeah, but probably not in the hangar. There's too many things that can go boom. You don't know where you're going to shoot. You don't know where the bullet's going to end up.
Are you talking about the Pentagon or Area 51?
No, I'm talking about Whiteman when I was there.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah.
And so
I find it interesting that the Navy has a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
And I have reasons for thinking it. When you work for the government, which I did do, I got sent to, one of the reasons I ended up in Florida again after leaving Florida was I got sent there to do work for the Treasury. Okay. And first thing at the gate is I get saluted. And I'm thinking, no, why am I saluted? And I stopped. I'm like, what the hell? He said, well, you have rank. And I said, I'm a U.S. Department of Treasury worker. And he said, yep. He says, "You're part of the Navy. Did you not know that?" And I went, "Huh, I did not know that." And I had to do some digging and some very discreet asking around. And yeah, the U.S. Department of the Treasury is wholly owned by the Navy. And it's directly coming from the president. He's got control over all that. But beyond him, there's another element, and it's the DoD. And then we're going into Black Ops, and it's all through the Navy. It's creepy, you know.
So the Hudson Valley Wave, going back there, how many of these V-shaped craft do we think they had?
Different wing lengths. Some reported the size of a football field, some much smaller. But there were definitely different type configurations, different wingtip to wingtip dimensions.
And where is this all going to roll out? I mean, what do you? I mean, this is how long can they keep this covered up? This is insane.
They've kept it covered up since '82. That's for sure.
Until one crashes in a populated area or does an emergency landing somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they'll call it ET.
And right? now everyone has one of these things. Mm-hmm. So that's probably more of a reason why they're starting to loosen up a little bit, because so many people have. I mean, the images I'm getting I have an iPhone 13. The 16 is much better, and I think they're talking about the 18s coming out before Christmas, and that's supposed to be take the laundry out, fix dinner. Mm-hmm. It does all that. You just press the button.
Have y'all noticed a jump in the last couple of years of things moving along and things like becoming more apparent? Have you ever wondered, because I've been telling everybody they're not here. ET is not here right now, not at all. And it's been about 2 years, 2.5 years, going on 3 now. They're gone. And that would give them carte blanche. Would give them the ability to, with impunity, go out and do whatever the heck they want. See what I'm saying?
Well, I'm just trying to determine how many. If they're going to pull a false flag, that's going to take a lot of craft, a lot of reverse engineered craft.
Yeah.
But they also do holographs too.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you factor in the ARVs, you factor in the holographic image projection that was talked about in the 2025 report. And then you've got psychological warfare operations. I think what we could be dealing with the Hudson Valley Boomerang is a airborne mobile over-the-horizon radar system that could track incoming Russian ICBMs over the horizon. So when you have an airborne system, it's not as easily shot down because it's not something that's pegged to the ground.
It's not
this
static.
Is something that's airborne.
Yeah, it's also directing things that they would put on the ground, like robotic dogs that carry weapons, things like that that have shielding on them, so that you can't shoot its power source because it's got bulletproof on them. I mean, there's actual, and I find this strange. Somebody put out a report that went up on the YouTube telling people, remember in the 60s when we had to learn how to help yourself when we had nuclear drilling and they did the commercials? This is actually a commercial about what those dogs are and what they can do to you. I'm not kidding you. I have it in my queue, and I'll send it to you. It's crazy. And I mean, it's like, who's playing around with this? Who's putting this out? This is all mental stuff that they're doing to people already. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like they're getting ready for something.
All right. One question, Michael, real quick, regarding all the work you're doing in the UFO, what is it called? A museum or
National UFO Historical Record Center.
So is that all able to be freely distributed? Is it able to be?
As far as I know, as long as you credit the organization, it's open to the public. It's by appointment only, and you can go through the files. It just has to be cleared with David Marler, but it's now open to the public. They've got massive collection, and on a weekly basis, they're getting international collections from people that they're getting up there. They don't want this thrown into a dumpster, so they've donated it to David's organization.
Where does he get his funding from, Michael?
Well, it's part of the school system now. So the school is on board with this. He's got a couple of other private donators too, but it is an official organization integrated with the Rio Rancho school system.
Has it been tapped by any of the university systems? Are they starting to take notice of it at all?
Oh, they know about it. Oh, they're very well aware of it. Yeah,
Okay.
they're very well aware.
I just want to say I'm jealous of you right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, come on over. Come on over.
Yeah,
All is welcome.
Yeah.
All are welcome.
How does Greer's collection compare to some of the other individual collections?
I got to be honest. Greer does have a good collection. Now, all that's been available, made to the public too. That's been almost a year now that's been available. So these two collections are very large. I would say that David's collection is more expansive because it's got a lot of international stuff too.
That's interesting.
More videotapes, more audio tapes, more motion picture film reels, more foreign newsletter publications, and then the other private collections. So in a nutshell, David now is Top Gun. Yeah, he is.
That's
Wonderful.
amazing.
Well, we're wrapping it up here. We've got, 5 minutes tops. So this would be the time to make any last closing statements.
What about
by all means, come out for a Jim, Dolly, Preston. You're all invited to come out. I'll give you a tour of the whole place, and you're welcome to research. It's just incredible. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to leave.
You'd have to have a roadmap to know where to go first.
True.
Yeah.
It's in New Mexico,
there,
right? It's in New Mexico.
It's in north of Albuquerque, New Mexico, in Rio Rancho.
It's a suburb. It's a suburb of Albuquerque.
How about that?
And the traffic is terrible. You agree with me, Michael?
It's a little bit limited on the road getting in and out of here, but once you get in here, I think it's fairly okay. But I'm just glad to be here. It just made more sense to just live here rather than try to commute every weekend and blow $1,000. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're there indefinitely then until
I'm here until the last file is scanned.
Good for you. Thank you. You're doing great work, both of you. The world needs you. So.
And I'm going to make it available. I'm going to make the findings available. Now, if we do another one of these, what I'm doing is I'm taking the original file, the original drawing that came with the report, and a lot of these files are very rough. They need to be cleaned up. So I'm cleaning them up in AutoCAD and SolidWorks. I'm doing a full color rendering, and I'm going to make that available in a PowerPoint. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! Oh, can't wait.
Yeah,
absolutely, cannot wait.
But you have to come out with your dark files, volume 2.
Well, now it justifies it. Yes.
Yeah.
I just got done doing a case from 1969 South Vietnam. 4 Army personnel saw a dish-shaped craft hover overhead, and it had arches on the upper dome. So that was a good case. It needed to be totally redrawn. I got that done last night. So
that's fantastic. Good. Are there a lot of places to stay out there?
Yeah, there's plenty of places to stay out here. No problem there.
Places, like if we came out in an RV, would that be okay?
We could find a place for you. Yeah, we could find a place for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it. So
you should make a trip out here just once if you want to. Yeah, at least see the collection. Yep.
You can't live without doing that. This is Preston's already chomping at the bit. I can hear his brain going, "Oh yeah, we're going." Okay. We would drive.
We'll figure it out if we can.
Yep, we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. That's
good.
Amazing shows. You guys always bring top notch.
I apologize for the delay. I had I went down to the Pima Air and Space Museum. I wanted to see if I could see the Martin Mars flying boat, the Philippine Mars. I've been on it in the cockpit when it was on Sprout Lake in Port Alberni, British Columbia.
Yes.
Nice.
And that was September 2005. And the Spirit of Hawaii was doing touch and goes.
Oh my!
And I got all those shots. I didn't do any video of it, but it's all stills.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But the general manager, I went in when a group of us went up there on motorcycles, and it says only authorized person beyond this point. Well, that doesn't apply to me. So we just rode our motorcycles into the maintenance facility for the Martin Marses. And Gary Glass came out, and he was the general manager. I said, what are you guys up to? And he said, I saw your your Martin Mars out there, and I'm just really fascinated. And we started talking on it, and I had my vest on that has all my Skunk Works stuff on it, big skunk this big. He says, He said, "Do you know anything about about stuff that the Skunk Works have built?" And I said, "Yeah, I've written books on the Blackbird." "We have?" And said, "So I had a Squadron Signal Blackbird in action, and I had a bunch with me. So I decided to Gary. And he said, "Well, hey, let's go out to the Mars. I'll go get a crew boat." So we went out. We went around it. We went in it. I was in the engineer station. I was in the cockpit. I have photographs of it.
Oh, wow.
And just sitting there inside the Philippine Mars, watching the Hawaii Mars do touch and goes on Sproat Lake.
Nice. Well, we got to get you to come on and bring all those photos on. How's that? Would love to hear that story. I'd love to see
well, we really have to wrap it up now.
Yep.
We're pushing it. So thanks, guys.
Yep.
I want to thank you all in chat. Really appreciate your generous donations. But yeah, you guys were amazing as always. So thank you.
And I apologize for being late. I had some stuff I had to do.
We're just glad you got here. It's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
All right, Dolly, take us out before we get too long.
I know. Thank you all for coming tonight on this Monday, coming to you live from New Orleans at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We're on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we're on YouTube. Please join us again next Monday. And until then, namaste. We love you all. And thank you very much.
Aloha.
Yeah.